associate a tall player with tricky feet. Tricky feet actually clipped it into the goal, and there's Alfie May just to save it on the line.
Alfie May ruined his Maradona moment.
Oh my!
It was kind of like he took it round 3 players, just dinked it over the keeper, and then Alfie May somehow that was easier to score than it was miss. What was he doing?
Well, even though you've used it, because I've got it in my notes, I'm going to say this. At that point, Alfie May was Huddersfield's best defender. Because I wrote that down. I think you've pinched my line.
Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Tuesday evening, Birmingham City beat Huddersfield Town 1-0 to get 3 points and secure our 7th league victory in a row. Now, Birmingham City haven't done that since 1946. A truly remarkable and incredible stat, and it shows the momentum and the confidence that we have in this League One campaign. So, Dad, Birmingham City 1, Huddersfield Town 0. What are your thoughts on the game?
I'm just still flabbergasted every time I hear what you just said. 7 victories in a row. I never ever thought I'd hear that in my lifetime as a Birmingham City supporter, and obviously I haven't. Contrary to popular belief, I wasn't born in 1946. But it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, 7 straight victories, another clean sheet, and a really good display. Again, we'll come on to the mechanics of the game, but overall, I mean, it was 1-0, but again, it was a dominant 1-0 for the vast majority of the game. And the chances that we missed, that could easily have been 4 or 5, easily. If we just had a little bit of had a bit more sort of accuracy in certain areas. But it was a dominant display against a Huddersfield team who came into the game struggling, and you can see why looking at that. Why they're struggling. But I mean, again, on to our next game, which will be Charlton, top of the league again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, remaining top of the league, not again, but remaining top, 5 points clear.
Yeah, with the game in hand as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And you say we could have had 3 or 4. I mean, Alfie May was Huddersfield's best defender in the end. He ended up clearing that one.
I wrote that line. I can't believe you pinched that.
But on a more serious note, every game we played at, I feel like we're picking up more positive attributes. Against Rotherham, I said we had complete control. Against Wrexham, I said we were passionate, we had grit, we had determination. Against Peterborough, we didn't know when we were beaten, we didn't know, we didn't roll over. And against Huddersfield, I felt like we had patience. It's another positive attribute. We didn't give up, we didn't give in. We were creating chances and we weren't scoring, but we didn't panic.
Yeah.
We didn't go gung ho, we didn't do anything rash. We stayed patient and we got our just reward. And as you say, that was a one-sided game of football, in my opinion. To be fair, Huddersfield should have been 1-up in about 28 seconds. And I think Allsop saved a free kick down to his bottom left. And that's all he had to do, to be
Anthony
perfect.
Evans,
That was all he had to do for the entire game. And I think a lot of Huddersfield fans, if they've been fair and objective about that game, they'll admit that as well. And on social media, Dad, I had a little look at the Huddersfield Town posts, and a fan posted on there, and the most liked, most popular comment from a Huddersfield Town fan last night was, utterly embarrassing. That was men against boys. And that was liked 148 times, and it got to the top of the comments page. So I think even Huddersfield's fans acknowledged that was a poor performance. We did dominate large portions of that game, especially the second half. And Huddersfield, to me, Dad, I don't know whether you agree with this. And, we are a completely respectful podcast, aren't we? We don't, we treat everyone with respect. Yeah. But to me, Huddersfield just seemed downtrodden. They seemed like they'd got that losing mentality. They had no spark. They looked a bit stale. And I think if Huddersfield Town want to turn their season around, Dad, they need some big improvements, don't they?
Well, they can use us as a benchmark in as much as we came down with them. So we was a relegated club from the Championship with them. And, on that performance and what the league table shows is we're actually worlds apart completely. I saw a comment from a Huddersfield Town fan on X, and it actually said this. In the second half, it said it was like Huddersfield Town playing Manchester City, or Manchester City playing a lower league team in the FA Cup. They said that's what it was like in the second half. That's how dominant Birmingham City was. And they were disappointed because after we scored, they had nothing. They didn't give us any threat whatsoever. The starting lineup was interesting, wasn't it? Because Allsop came in for Peacock Farrell, which had a lot of talk, didn't it? After the
how do you think he did, Dad?
He did all right, He always, to me, he looks more comfortable at his feet. I don't feel as that he's going to sort of do anything absolutely stupid. He will be put under pressure, of course he will. I felt his distribution wasn't perfect at the beginning, just like against Warsaw, wasn't he? He was knocking a few balls out. But then you've also got to take into account the conditions yesterday. It would have been a greasy pitch and windy and raining, so that wouldn't have helped. But that's no excuse. He's a professional goalkeeper. But overall, I think he had a comfortable performance. But as you said, apart from the first, 15, 20 minutes, he didn't have much to do after that, to be fair, did he, really? No. So Allsop came in for Peacock Farrell. Then we had Alfie May for Lyndon Dykes, and Keshi Anderson came in on the left for Hansen. And that was obviously three changes that were made in the starting lineup. But I keep, this is what's doing my head in, and I can't figure out why we keep doing it. Why do we start so slow? I don't get it. It's almost, because it happens so regularly now, it's part of our game plan. I'm sure it's not, but I don't know why we allow teams to come at us now. What happened yesterday was we got a clean sheet, and that effectively means that if you get a clean sheet, you just need one goal to get 3 points, which is exactly that's exactly what happened. But if you make a silly mistake and then you score one goal, then we're not going to win the game. So what I'm basically saying is those slow starts could cost us in games if we don't do something about it. So
nearly did against Peterborough.
It nearly, like you said, that's a chance for Mikael Miller in like 30 seconds. It was a glaring chance, and he should have scored. He knocked it wide of the target. In fact, actually, one of the stats we did in the pre-match video was that Huddersfield got the highest stats for missing goal opportunities, and you can see why. I mean, he's wide of the mark, and the Anthony Evans free kick was parried away by. It wasn't a difficult save, to be honest, but he did make the save.
It was a camera save, wasn't it?
It was a camera save, but I think with being raining, you don't want to sort of put yourself in a position where you got to try and catch the ball, because it could slip out your hands or anything, couldn't it?
I don't know, Dad. Do you think, just coming back to your slow start point, do you think because teams know they're going to be shattered after 70 minutes, 75 minutes. They know they have to come out of the traps, and the only chance they're going to get to score a goal or really pull the pressure on Birmingham City is the first 10 or 15 minutes, because when we get a foothold in the game and when we break the press, so what happens in games, what I'm noticing in games, like we start slow, a little bit of nerves, a little bit of anxiety. We break their press 1 or 2 times, it's game over. We're in the game, we're settled, we get complete control of the ball, and we're pretty dominant from that point moving forward.
You are right, but the point I'm making, Matt, is that these slow starts give us, if for example the team scores, which they have done on occasion, early goals we've conceded, it just gives us that extra pressure to try and have to score more goals to win the game.
Undoubtedly.
So if we don't do something about it, then it is going to cost us in some games. Because
but it's pretty much the only negative to our game at the moment, isn't it? That the fact that we get off to a slower start, that's pretty much the only thing you can point to the Blues game that needs improvement, because everything else is purely exceptional. The way we're passing it around, holding on to possession, scoring goals. I think a lot of Blues fans would agree. If we can get out the gates a little bit quicker, we'd be unstoppable.
I just imagine like those who can't make the match, for whatever reason, watching it on telly. For the first 20 minutes, they're behind the sofa, just peering over, because it is a bit sort of giving them too much of the ball. We are a possession-based team. I just wonder why we do it, and because we do it so regularly, Chris Davis must know and must see what we see. Of course he does. But why do we keep on doing it? I mean, that chance that Mikael Miller didn't finish. It was a glaring chance. It should have been 1-0.
Yeah, and after that chance, I remember looking up at the clock because the new screens are in now, and it literally said 38 seconds. I was like, what's going on? Again, it was almost like, and then I looked to the bloke to my right, and it was like, it's almost like rinse and repeat from all the other previous games. There definitely is a pattern.
Well, Peterborough, we kicked off against Peterborough in the previous game. Alex Cochrane gave a stray ball. They had a corner within a minute, which they nearly scored off. So there is something that's about a slow starting, but
after that though, I mean, again, once we got a foothold in the game, I mean, Huddersfield didn't get a sniff, did they?
Really dominant again.
I felt like we should have been 3-0 up at half time and about 5 or 6 up by the time the final whistle went. But we didn't put the chances away. That's what I mean. Stansfield, you'd put your mortgage on him finishing the 2 chances he had.
For him, there was a couple of others actually, but 2. I know the chances you're talking about. They were good. So basically, the first half, after the 15-20 minutes, we started as we always do, impose our game. Basically, Paik and Water took control. Mm-hmm. And that they are the engine of the team, aren't they? So once they get into gear, literally the whole thing's, the mechanics start moving, don't they? And we did that. Well, Williamson, he had a free kick just pushed over the bar by their goalkeeper. So that was, a first real chance. He's looking good, isn't he, Williamson?
He is, yeah. He's getting better every game that goes.
He's going to be well chuffed off with Alfie May, isn't he? I mean, that would have been a great goal. If that had gone in, it'd be with the skill. Yeah, he went down, didn't he? Little tricky feet. I mean, if you're a tall player, you don't associate a tall player with tricky feet. But tricky feet actually clipped it into the goal, and there's Alfie May just to save it on the line.
Alfie May ruined his Maradona moment.
Oh my!
It was kind of like he took it around 3 players, just dinked it over the keeper, and then Alfie May, somehow, that was easier to score than it was miss. What was he doing?
Well, even though you've used it, because I've got it in my notes, I'm going to say this. At that point, Alfie May was Huddersfield's best defender. Because I wrote that down. I think you finished my line, but you didn't know. But anyway, I mean, that was a goal. If Alfie May would have left that's in.
Yeah.
It's in. And even Alfie May admitted that, it's his worst miss ever. Well, it wasn't actually his miss, actually. He pinched Williamson's opportunity. But anyway, it was 0-0 at that stage as well. I mean, Stansfield dragged the ball wide on 42 minutes as well, just before half-time. So we should have been well up, at half-time. And in the first half, it's 71% possession. So it shows us we're still making, or keeping the ball an awful lot. And then he made a substitution at half-time. What's your thoughts on this? Obviously, Taylor Gardner-Hickman was taken off, and then Alphonse Samsted came on at half-time.
Samsted was absolutely fantastic.
He was, wasn't he?
He was absolutely fantastic. And I think all three right-backs give us something slightly different. Laird, Gardner-Hickman and Samsted all offer kind of three different variations to the game. And I love Samsted opening up the defence. I mean, the goal that we scored was from a beautiful through ball
really good, wasn't
to
it?
Stansfield. And I remember sitting in the stand looking down. I think that is just perfectly weighted. Perfectly weighted. Beautiful run by Stansfield because he brought the defender out of position, outpaced him. And, of course, cut it in for Alfie May's goal. But just going back to your point, because it was your original question, I thought Samsted had an incredible second half.
I think the reason for the substitution was that Gardner-Hickman was yellow carded in the first half.
Right.
And I think that partly played into the thought process. And I think that's good management, actually.
Yeah.
Because, Alphonse Samsted is no slouch at all, as we've just discussed. So, and also as well, it saves us having a player being a risk of being sent off. And also gives Alphonse Samsted some game time, and it's a good substitution. We had a second half begins. Stansfield had a snapshot on the turn from the 6-yard line. That's another one that was just past the post. That was so close. That was as well, and then there was a goal. Which do you want to talk us through the goal?
Well, to be fair, I kind of just did it on the Samsted.
Do it again,
on Samsted over. Stansfield made a beautiful run, brought the centre half out of position, went round the back, and you could not have got a more perfectly weighted pass than what Samsted fed him. Stansfield kept going, and then Alfie May, completely opening the box. And a little tidy, nice finish into an empty net, and then St. Andrews erupted at that point, and it really was great. But I think the highlight of that goal for me was the run from Stansfield and the weight and the position of that pass from Stansted was just beautiful. It was a great goal.
It was a great goal. And, Alfie May from there, he's never going to miss from there. But the point is, he's in those positions.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's clever about Stansfield is by making that diagonal run, he's drawn the defender with him.
Yeah.
That's opened up the space for Alfie May, so all he has to do is cut it across. That was such a good goal, that was. We seem to be scoring, with a bit of width now, don't we? Which is really good. We did that against Peterborough as well, some great goals. So that was a really good goal. And we deserved that. That was 1-0.
Yeah.
And then virtually straight after, we made a couple of substitutions. Hansen, one substitution initially. Hansen came on for Keshi Anderson. Hansen did all right.
I think he was going to bring Alfie May off for right at that moment, but he held it back for a little bit longer because if you're in when you looked over, Hansen and Wright had their tops off at the same time.
Yeah.
And then obviously Wright sat back down for 5 or 10 more minutes. So
because that was the next sub, 67.
He was going to make that sub, but he stopped it because Alfie May scored. So
the more I see of Scott Wright, the more I like.
Absolutely fantastic. He's direct. He's quick. He goes at teams. He adds something different to the game. And if you're struggling to unlock, or even if they're shattered at 70 minutes and you want someone just to keep running those legs down, he's perfect. I am so impressed. I mean, he's got to be making a case for his first start, for a proper League One start soon, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, we're going to, after this, the next video after this one will be the Charlton preview podcast, and we'll be talking about the selection then, about that game. I think, he might be in contention for that game. We'll have a chat about it in that podcast, actually. But, he's definitely, every time he comes on, he doesn't let the team down.
No.
Adds something dynamic, doesn't he? He's got pace, he's direct, and I think he's definitely
he's fast.
He's
really
definitely
good.
got probably a chance to possibly start that game as well.
I thought Hansen did pretty well when he came on as well. Again, like cutting in and was quite dangerous on that left-hand side. He had a really good shot that got blocked. Then it went to Paik on the edge of the box that got saved.
Yeah, just talking about that. And that all came about because Stansfield won the ball in the corner.
It did, yeah, it did.
So again, that's all because of Stansfield's hard work and his pressing. and actually he got the ball off, he put it across, and
Quite a scrappy little moment that was to see Stansfield getting stuck in. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean the goalkeeper was under a bit of pressure there, so obviously the shot from Hansen, which you could argue he shot it a bit direct, but then obviously Pate came in and it was saved. But and then later on in the game, Stansfield was substituted at 85 for Lyndon Dykes, and he's on a few minutes. He started to put himself about, which is what I presume that's what they wanted. He nearly scored actually, Dykes, at the far post. In fact, he was unlucky not to score. That was another pass from Hansen.
Yeah.
Hansen's showing that when he's on the pitch, he's created a lot of chances. So he might not have scored yet, but he's created a lot of opportunities for his teammates. So I think that's going to impress Chris Davies.
My only thing with Hansen is he looks very predictable. 9 times out of 10 he's going to cut in. It's not a problem. It's just an observation that if teams do their homework, I think that could be quite easy and predictable to defend against, in minus. But not saying he's a bit like Williamson for me. Hansen seems to be improving as the season goes on. He's dangerous. I like his quick feet. Good player. I just wish. Maybe it's a bit old school thinking these days. Just get to the byline and whip across in, especially when you got Lyndon Dykes in there in the last couple of minutes. Big physical player, plunk it on his head. We got another goal, but he does like to cut in a bit more for my liking. But just an observation.
I think it'll come. He's obviously a quality player, Hansen, and at the end of the day, he's productive. He's starting now to produce. We'll see more of that. He'll improve, and that's going to create a lot of chances for our strikers. But one thing that really impressed me once again was the hard work of Blues. The fitness levels are off the radar, aren't they? And that's what wears the teams down. You mentioned it earlier, Matt, about teams can't in the latter parts of games, 70 minutes onwards, they're absolutely flagging,
just chasing shadows,
and they can't. And even Michael Duff in his post-match interview for Huddersfield said that he said we just couldn't get near them, and that's because obviously we just completely were much fitter than they were in the latter parts of the game.
Yeah, and that's why at the start of the video, Dad, I mentioned about patience and being hungry. So we didn't panic. We didn't start hoofing. We didn't go route one. We stayed calm. We still passed it along the back. We were doing brilliant football. But we were determined and we were hungry. And I mentioned a lot in pre-season about the importance of the spine of the team. And when you look at the spine of our team for League One, it is absolutely ludicrous. When you've got Bielek and Clara as your centre-backs, you then move into Iwata and Paik in the midfield, and then you move through to Alfie May and Jay Stansfield.
Yeah.
That is what a spine of a team that is, because the spine is the core structure. Yep. And for me, the key, absolute key, and you mentioned it earlier, is Iwata and Paik, because the midfielders naturally link up the defence and the attack. And they are just, if you look at them, they are just absolutely incredible. What a team they are. They work and complement each other beautifully, and the impact they have in games. They're changing games, those two. They are just mind-blowing.
And we've got Mark Leonard, who would easily fit into that spine, who can't even get on the pitch.
Mark Leonard would get into most championship midfields.
Easy.
And again, I kind of brushed over them a little bit there, but Bielek and Clara last night were absolutely outstanding. Clara, I mean, me and you did say that Mark Leonard has been our favourite signing, especially in the first early games. I think I'm going to have to change it. I think Clara has just been absolutely incredible. Brick wall.
Yeah.
Absolute brick wall.
He's quality, isn't he?
He's a
good partnership with Bielek.
Yeah.
And, but I could make a case for a lot of players. Cochrane, again, another really good player. Yeah. But, back to this game, though. But 7 on the bounce now. Highest possession in the league. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that our style and type of football has completely turned around in a really short period of time. And we're actually winning loads and loads of games. And that's a really strange feeling.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good to get that winning mentality back. And being in League One for this one season, I think the biggest positive we can take from it, let's just hope we can continue on the momentum and get promoted, is that we will learn to get that winning mentality. And this is the problem with Huddersfield. They've come down with the same team, with the same mentality. Yeah. And they look downbeat, they look downtrodden. And we have got a new fresh lease of life. We've got a lot of transfers in, we've got a new manager. That's exactly what Huddersfield should be looking to replicate, in my opinion, because this is what it looks like when you've came down with a losing team and you haven't changed anything. Yeah,
I mean, Huddersfield had a start reality check like last night to say, well, Birmingham City have invested a lot of money, and they might not have had those levels to invest that we have, but they when you look at their team, it's very similar to last season. Plus, they have got some injuries as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, but Helik was a big loss for them. He was their top scorer last season, big centre half, and their I can't remember the goalkeeper's name, their first choice goalkeeper. He was missing. There's other players that are missing as well. But that's the difference. You see, we could have top quality players out of our team for suspensions or injuries, but we've got equally good players to take their places, and that is what and how
Yep.
we'll have a successful season. But
Yeah.
a good another good victory against a team that are fancied to be up there. They're better than 15th Huddersfield, are they?
They are.
They will improve.
You know what, though? As far as defence goes, fair enough. I know we were tearing them apart at certain parts of the game. They were decently compact at moments of the game. Huddersfield will be absolutely fine. If they invest in a couple of decent midfielders and strikers, they'll start moving up the table. I think the key is that mentality of losing and getting out of that. They need a new lease of life. And for me, they need to be having way more of a threat up front. They didn't challenge Allsop at all, apart from those two things.
We know it's like, though, don't we, Matt, as fans, when your team is on a bad run.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It runs through the whole club, doesn't it? It runs through the players, the fans, everybody, and it's a hard spiral to get out of. But at the end of the day, it's 3 points that we can't lose now. Against a good team. It was 1-0, but in my view, it was a 1-0 thrashing.
It was, yeah, very dominant performance.
It was a really, really dominant performance, and. On to Charlton.
Yeah, it's funny that we always say this, Dad. 70% possession. We could have and should have scored 6. We didn't. The score line still reads 1-0, and it's still only 3 points.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, right. It could say 10-0 or 1-0, and ultimately, whichever is 3 points, isn't it? Yeah. And that's the main thing. And we got them, and we're top of the league, and we made an absolutely outstanding start, which is really impressive. But like I say, Charlton next. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah. I don't think I could finish the podcast on a better, stronger and more positive note myself, Dad. So, as always, Blues fans, I would love to hear from you. In fact, maybe you're a Huddersfield fan who's tuned in as well. Would love to hear from you. Were you disappointed with that performance? As we said, we felt like, and from gauging social media, Huddersfield fans also felt like that was a very one-sided game in the end. But as always, we'd love to hear from the fans. So please drop us a comment in the section below, and myself and Dad will get round to that as quickly as we can. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now, so you can listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to press that big red subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.